Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to talk about the comic book movie, The Old Guard. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent. Today we're going to talk about the latest comic book movie that's out. Yes, there's a movie that's out. And yes, it's a comic book movie. We're going to talk about The Old Guard, which is on Netflix right now. So, I didn't know The Old Guard was a movie up until, a month and a half ago, much less a comic book movie at that point until the movie actually came out and I started reading about it. Now, I haven't read the comic yet. I figured, I'd rather watch the movie and judge the movie for how it is than go read the comic. The comic is by Greg Rucka and Leandro Fernandez. I think they did 5 or 6 issues in one volume, and there's a second volume that's out now that's almost done, I think. Anyway, I have the first volume of the comic on my iPad. I bought that. It was on sale. It might still be when this video comes out, I'm not sure. But I'm here to talk about the movie. And the movie, which Netflix is hailing as, one of these movies that's been seen by millions of households and stuff. I don't know what constitutes a view. This movie's 2 hours long, and I've seen some other things where they were saying that Netflix's views only start when you've watched like 2 minutes of it. And I can see watching the first 2 minutes of this thing and counting it as a view, I guess. Because I think you could watch the first 2 minutes. Could you make it all the way through the 2 hours and really enjoy yourself? I don't think so. This movie is mediocre at best. And Charlize Theron is in it, as is Chiwetel Ejiofor. And you might know her from Mad Max Fury Road as Furiosa. And you might know Chiwetel from Doctor Strange. He was, not Dormammu, but Baron Mordo. And there's a couple other people in here that you might recognize, but I was looking at their IMDb down here, and I don't really see anything that I've seen before. Kiki Lane is the other female lead in this film. She is best known for If Beale Street Could Talk, which I guess got some buzz 2 years ago, but I didn't see it. That's okay. Not everybody gets seen in everything. But while Charlize Theron does her thing in this movie, and it's definitely a vehicle for her and for her to show off her action skills and how she can do tuck and rolls and, point guns at people and stuff like that. It's not to the level of perfection or skill that you would see in any John Wick movie by Keanu Reeves. Not judging, he's been doing this a lot longer than she has started to do it. She kind of decided in the last couple of years or so with Mad Max and Atomic Blonde that this was going to be her thing right now. So that's what this is. This movie was written by Greg Rucka. He wrote the screenplay. And the director is Gina Price Blythewood, who directed some episodes of TV, Cloak and Dagger, Beyond the Lights, which was a movie, Secret Life of Bees, Everybody Hates Chris. So she's directed a whole bunch of stuff going all the way back to the Bernie Mac show in 2003. So she's an accomplished director, or at least one with some experience and stuff. The problem, I think, with this movie is maybe the budget, because everything watching this movie, it feels like it definitely feels like a Netflix movie, if you know what I mean. And I'm not trying to trash Netflix movies. I've definitely seen original films on their service that I have enjoyed, but I think the best one that they've had so far was Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. I think that's definitely worth your time, and that one was just a powerhouse just for that director. He was the stunt double for Chris Evans on a bunch of Avengers movies, and then I think he was the stunt coordinator for a bunch of Avengers or Marvel movies. He's done a lot of stuff. Sam Hargrave, I think his name is, that director for Extraction. That movie was very impressive. They took the small budget, went to India, and squeezed every penny they could using that setting, those actors over there who were great actors, and squeezed every penny they could with that location, with all their tracking one shots and stuff. And that movie looked fantastic. It was fun to watch. I was wide awake the entire time. This movie, The Old Guard, I think took their budget, went international for a big scope instead of kind of writing it into one thing and then squeezing it for as much as they could. And I think that hurt them. I think they wasted a lot of money on these big locations and expansive shots. They shot in Paris and Morocco, and it's definitely recognizable, them going from these countries. But I think when you do that and you move these productions place to places, I think that's what costs a lot of money, when you got to put up these people in different places around the world. Now, they do that to give you this feeling of this epic scope, but what they don't do is make the movie exciting in between these big shots. It does have some action scenes, and the first one is, oh, okay, pretty cool. But when you've seen one, you've seen them all. They don't really expand or do anything new. At the end of the day, it's the same 4 or 5 characters doing the same SWAT team, military-style tactics that you've seen in other movies before, going around corners with guns, clearing rooms with, a tuck and roll mixed in there from Charlize, and, maybe swinging an axe or a sword in the very beginning. They don't really use that inside of their gunplay as you might think, as much as they should have, as, if you had more budget, you could have had more time to develop these action scenes and develop a truly unique fighting style for what is supposed to be a group of immortals, that are still living today. So I think this movie suffers from budget problems, and it definitely suffers from a score problem, where the score, doesn't feel big at all. And then that's not to say it has to feel big. You can get guys doing one thing. Like, look at the score for The Mandalorian. I think it's one guy doing the composing and stuff, and I don't know if he's doing it all on computers or whatever, but that score feels epic. That's television budget. This might be a little different, but there's a lot of modern day music tracks in this score. There's people singing, nothing you would really recognize, but I think the choices are misplaced in that they set the action scenes to these songs where the songs are really down tempo or mid tempo, and it's like, does everybody forget that rock and roll still exists? I'm a rock fan, so I'm a little biased, but I didn't feel like, if you've got a beat that's pumping to an action scene, it's going to get you pumped up, and if you cut to that beat, it's going to keep it going. John Wick has showed us that time and time again, how to cut an action scene, how to edit it properly, and set music to it that makes it exciting, and you can do many, many things to that. Music videos have done it. I mean, there's tons of things out there. This movie seems like they were like, well, we're going to make the action scenes show longer, because they're trying to show Charlize Theron, anyway, doing all her flips and doing her own stunts, which is good for her. But everything else in there, the music and the tone and the long shots, just kind of drags the excitement of these action scenes down to where since it's stuff you've seen before, you're just kind of like, meh. There's not really any big explosions, and while the effects are good in terms of their, everybody here has like a Wolverine healing factor, and that's what makes them immortal. They can't die. You can get shot through the head and survive, just closes up and heals the same way we've seen Wolverine do time and time again. Those effects do look good, so I think there was a lot of money poured into that part, but there's a lot of things they could have done that's missing. In terms of screenplay, there's not really a whole bunch of witty dialogue or anything. I mean, it's Greg Rucka. He's usually like a pretty straightforward writer. There's some twists and crosses, but it's not really anything that you're like, big deal stuff. So it's kind of a letdown. I mean, not every comic book movie is going to be the best thing ever, but this Old Guard movie was kind of hyped. Maybe because there's nothing out in the pandemic times here in 2020. We don't have Fast 9. We don't have a new John Wick that's filming, or, Venom is not coming out in 3 more months anymore. We're not going to see Tenet this year in my mind. So, I don't know. I think people are just looking for something new to watch and talk about. But when you sit down and watch this movie, I think it really suffers. And maybe it shouldn't have been paid as much attention to as it has been. And that's a bummer. They do set it up nicely for a sequel. I don't know if they're going to make one. But it seems, as always, it seems like the sequel would have been the most interesting part had they had that part going. You know, maybe they started this movie a little too early. But that's my review of The Old Guard. If you got 2 hours to kill during the pandemic times, I guess you could put it on, but I would encourage you to find maybe something else to watch. Try a new show, because you might get hooked into that more than this thing will. If I'm totally wrong, let me know down below. I really did not enjoy this film, and I was, been looking forward to it for days, trying to find a time to watch it, trying to get my wife to watch it for a while, and eventually gave up and said, I'll just watch it myself. And after having done so, I'm really bummed out. So, oh well. We'll try again tomorrow night with a different film. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought down below. And as always, we will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.